Hey there, welcome to ATL and 29, a podcast that looks at the NBA from the starting point of Atlanta. My name is Kevin Chenard. I'm here with both Glenn Willis and Tyler Jones, and I basically have one question, but I think it's a big question. What do you make of the Eastern Conference in terms of who's a real contender, who is of comparable caliber to the Hawks, and who isn't? Because the changes have been substantial. The Knicks went to the finals. Boston's different. The 76ers are different. Miami made a huge change. Indiana's healthy. Like, it's just a lot of stuff. I didn't even mention Kawhi Leonard. Like, it's a lot. And so Glenn randomly threw out a thought a minute ago. He started talking about the Pacers and said they're fascinating. Like, maybe we start there. Like, how good are the Indiana Pacers?
Well, for me, it's going to be interesting to see how they play because they got made a good trade for Zubac, right? And that's been meaningful for them. But the last 2, 3 seasons, they played really fast, and I don't know if they slow it down for him. It's going to be interesting to see if they do or not. Halliburton will be back. Which he's a fun watch as much as Hawks fans might not. I think he's a fun watch, and such. So it's just gonna be interesting to see how differently they play. But he's to me he's like one of the 5, 6 best centers in the league. Just defensively and just how strong he is. So starting with them, it's just gonna be really interesting to watch their first, we'll say, 10 games of the season come October and see if they slow it down to accommodate him or not. Down in Miami, obviously they got Giannis, right? The guard position is weak on that team. So I don't know how they integrate Giannis and Bam together with kind of a really downgraded guard spot. So Philly obviously added LeBron, added Jaylen Brown. It's interesting to me to think about how that impacts BJ Etkinson's role, right? Because he was really good as a rookie last year, really, really good as a rookie last year. Is he going to get squeezed out? Is that going to feel good to him? Is that going to feel bad to him? There's a lot there. And then Toronto got Kawhi, and we'll see. How many games does he play? He's kind of been up and down, kind of with injuries and things like that. And I think Boston got worse. I think they added Mitchell Robinson, which is meaningful, but Paul George is I have to look up his age or whatever.
Well,
But
nah. Paul George is significantly better than Jaylen Brown. We're not doing this. It's just,
I
you
I,
know,
I
Jaylen.
disagree. But
I mean, Jaylen Brown. Come on, like his game's just not doesn't impact winning. Unless he's going to change the way he plays, unless the defense is going to improve. I don't know. He's just Jaylen Brown. Like going from Jaylen Brown to Paul George make the Celtics better. It might not help their bigger issue, which is that like it's very clear that they've hacked the regular season in a way where it's pure math ball all up and down. And like Paul George is gonna help them way more on that front because he's just a better basketball player. Even today, like he's the better defender, better shooter, and that's all that matters. Like they don't. I've we've talked like how many times we talked about when we talk about the Celtics, how much better they were when Derek White had the ball in his hands. You know, or Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard was a
he's
devastating
good.
offensive option.
He's
Jaylen
good.
Brown, Jaylen Brown was food, man. Like the Hawks looked forward to Jaylen Brown soaking up usage because he was easy to take the ball from. I look at the Sixers team like I don't know. I think I would like the Sixers a lot more if they had Paul George still, if they were going to get LeBron James. Like if they were going to get LeBron, they need to keep Paul because Paul can scale down. I have not Jaylen Brown in his career has not shown an ability to play at a scaled down level. And he's got to do that because when you play for the Sixers, guess what? You're playing Embiid ball. When Embiid's are healthy, the game goes through him. It has to. It just has to. And so like can like to me, I'm like, can Jaylen Brown improve? I, I don't know, like because a lot of his issues, like to me, just flat out are like talent. Like I just don't think he's that talented of a basketball player. He's athletic, but when we're talking about and he has great physical gifts that allow him to score the amount of points that he does on a basketball floor. But basketball is more than just physical gifts. There's a element of like it's there's a intuition that he lacks, and that's obvious to his teammates. I feel like it was very obvious to the organization of the Celtics. That's why they were looking to trade him. Uh, as soon as they could. They recognize it. Especially like they lost. I mean, they lost in the playoffs. Like I know Tatum was hurt, but like they got dragged by a Sixers team that I didn't think was that good this last year. Like they weren't good. Like they made the playoffs. They somehow make it to the second round, and like the Celtics were uncompetitive. And this goes back to my bigger point. I'm like, I don't know if the Celtics ultimately are fixing their primary issue, which is in the playoffs. Uh, if Tatum has to be like MVP caliber, and if he's not, it's very easy to take away their role players. I think that ultimately is what's going to come down to the Celtics team. Like I do think they got better in regular season, but that's probably immaterial to them. But I don't know. I feel like the Sixers just move deck chairs around. Their ultimate issues is the same. They go as far as Embiid goes. If he's healthy, and if he's back to some level of form defensively, even with this roster, which it's year like I feel like it's going to be year 15, and they still have not resolved the rebounding issue. Like they somehow make the rebounding worse even though they have like 41-year-old LeBron James going to be the best defensive rebounder. I'm like I cannot take the Sixers seriously until they show me they can grab contested rebounds because they can't do that. They're going to lose a possession battle every night. That just going to require them to make every shot. They're not. No team makes every shot every game. It's just the reality of today's NBA. If you're not winning possession battle, you're not worth my time. What is worth my time is the Raptors because Kawhi Leonard quietly still an MVP caliber player. If he's on the team, we got to see what's going on with aspiration. But if he's not on the team, that Raptors team is formidable. I thought Colin Murray-Bowles is one of the best rookies in recent memory, honestly. Like I know he didn't score, but he basically was dominant in every other area of the basketball game. And like he's going to be better. That Raptors team's going to be like a nightmare to score on. Now they got somebody like Kawhi to be a bell cow on offense. To me, outside of the Knicks, I think the Raptors are the most dangerous team right now in the Eastern Conference. And then you got Boston. Like I just like Joe Mazzulla, he's certified in this regular season. We could talk about the flaws. Like I hear all the flaws. And if you're going to tell me they're not winning the possession battle, I'm like, how are they not going to do that? Like they're bringing back the same center core plus Mitchell Robinson, the best offensive rebounder in the sport. They're going to shoot a billion threes. It's not going to matter. Like there are issues that we talk about that's going to come up in the regular playoffs. Not going to matter in the regular season. They're going to dominate. So like those are like my three right now top teams in the Eastern Conference.
So Tyler, go back to Philly. Tyrese Maxey better than Jaylen Brown?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like
Okay.
Maxey, I think Maxey is a better player.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Me too.
But the issue isn't about like individual talent. Like this, I'm not saying the Sixers aren't talented. I'm saying they don't have any rebounding. Still,
Yeah, I agree.
they like Daryl. Like I feel like Daryl missed the boat. Like I mean, he missed the boat multiple years with this team. They needed to fix the defensive rebounding problems. It came up every time in the playoffs. When Embiid's not in the game, they can't grab defensive rebounds. They go for cheap fixes where like, oh, we'll just get Andre Drummond, or we'll just get, we'll invest in the backup center. No, that's not the inherent problem. You don't have enough athleticism. LeBron James, I think, would help with that. Like to me, absolutely LeBron James makes this team a lot better. But you're taking a step back in that you haven't added anybody else. Maybe they did get somebody from Cleveland. Maybe he helps them with that, but I don't know how much he's going to play with the starters. Is the point? I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. He's a good player.
Who?
He's going to help. Cleveland. uh the Cavs starting small forward. He plays for
The Sixers
the
getting Dean Wade,
Dean Wade.
yeah, Dean Wade. Dean Wade, yeah.
Yeah.
Big,
he will
physical
help.
defender. He's gonna help a lot. I think that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
The issue is like, uh, man, Jaylen Brown has to have the ball to be effective. LeBron also has to have the ball to be effective, which, even at his big age, he's still a good player.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned. Like, to me, like, my bigger concern is just like VJ Edgecombe's going to get lost in the weeds here. Absolutely. Like, there's no sugarcoating this. He's just going to get lost in the weeds. This offense is going to have issues. I think overall with turnovers more than anything else. Like, I think turnovers are going to be a massive problem unless LeBron's going to take on the entirety of the usage. But if he's doing that, you're paying Jaylen Brown 55 plus $1 million to be Mikal Bridges. I think his best role for the Sixers is like the ideal version of Mikal Bridges, where he just takes open threes, drives to the rim, but he doesn't, really have the ball in the hands that much. I don't see Jaylen Brown doing that after, get him, because I just don't. I don't know if either side's gonna want to do that, because like that's gonna take his value. But I think teams kind of already know what his value is. Like we saw like the Celtics were trying to trade him. Nobody was interested just because of his price point and what having him on your team requires you to do. That's why I'm more concerned about with the Sixers. Like,
Yeah.
if Jaylen Brown was a better defender and a better rebounder, maybe just because of Paul George's age and the injury concerns with Paul George. But I don't know, man. This just feels like a lot of cooks in the kitchen right now,
No.
especially with Embiid. Like it has to go through. Like, it has to go through Embiid. You can't just have Embiid be a floor spacing center.
The
Um,
Sixers have very much one type of player and not enough of the other types of players. They have a whole lot of players. Like you get Anthony Simons, like you get another player who's like more comfortable with the ball in their hands, just like VJ Edgecombe, just like Tyrese Maxey, just like Joel Embiid. And you've got all these guys that do one thing, and it's like, well, who's going to be your defensive stopper? Like, who's going to be your defensive rebounder? And it just doesn't seem like they have enough of
Defense is
the.
going. Point of attack defense in particular is just going to be
Yeah,
a massive
where are they going to
issue.
get that?
And
Yeah.
combined with Embiid has to be in drop coverage. Like, I don't know, man.
It's kind of nerve-wracking. And actually, when Glenn brought up the issue of pace, I'm actually more worried about pace for the Sixers because they have Embiid, who is so slow. They've got
Yep.
Maxey, whose strength is to play fast. Like with the
Yep.
Pacers, I'm not that worried about Zubac because your defensive rebounder doesn't really have to be as fast as the rest of your team. So if you have a
Agreed.
bunch of guys whose strength is to play fast and you got the one guy getting rebounds for them, all he has to do is get the rebound and get it to the first guy, and then his job is done. He doesn't have to be the fast guy
Yeah.
with them. Whereas the Sixers, I mean, I trust Joel Embiid to get rebounds, but I just don't know like what's going to be their ideal offense. How are they going to be able to make that segue from, okay, Embiid's on, we're going to play this way when he's on, Embiid's injured, we're going to play this way when he's out. It's going to be very hard for them to get in a rhythm that plays to their strengths, all while not being very good defensively on top of all that.
Yeah, and reminder, Kelly Oubre is in Indiana now.
Yep.
So
Yep. 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 Yep.
and he's a really good defender. A lot of length, and stuff like that. So that's fascinating to me as well.
How do you feel about Detroit? Like a lot of these teams have made these massive changes. On the other hand, you've got this Detroit team that had a bunch of regular season success, kind of fizzled in the playoffs, kind of, doesn't seem like they're about to make a whole bunch of changes, but they did get John Collins. Like, is Detroit going to be able to maintain the level that they are at when the East gets deeper?
I mean, for me, last year, Cade like dealt with a lot of double teams, and it's similar to Ant in Minnesota, right? Like, I mean, there's a reason that Minnesota. We'll talk about Western Conference probably a different episode, but adding LaMelo, I made a joke on Twitter about someone having to teach him to drive in the snow. It was, which that got like a lot of attention, but but I mean. Hero help Willie. I don't know. Like I'm not super high on him. I think Khalil Ware is really good, and so it's gonna be interesting to me to see how Bickerstaff integrates those pieces. And we're still in July, so like I don't think everything's done roster wise with Detroit, in that sense. And I don't know if people know, like John Collins shot the ball from the 3-point line last year really well, like really, really well. Hawks fans haven't paid attention to that. And then we'll see what happens with Duran, in that sense too as well. So it's gonna be that they're an interesting team to me. Well, can Hero and Cade like work off of each other?
Heroes on the Bucks, Glenn.
Yeah, heroes on the Bucks.
How did I
They,
miss
they,
that? I've been dealing with Nigerian hackers for 3 weeks, so
yeah, tough. Yeah, there was a rumor they did get Isaiah Joe, and like
okay.
I think there might be some like I think
And they
Isaiah
have
Joe
Kevin
can.
Herter and Duncan Robinson, but they
Yeah,
don't have Hero.
yeah. I don't know. I think the Tobias Harris loss is going to hurt them.
A little bit.
Yeah, he's in San
Uh,
Antonio. He'll be a study that in San Antonio.
like he was good for the Pistons. Like I think he was pretty underrated his impact overall for the team. I think John Collins. I mean, you're losing a lot of like on ball creation without Tobias. Like you're just losing ball skill,
Yeah.
and you are already short on that. Like, and then this Duran situation, like if they don't get Duran back after already losing Isaiah Stewart, I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna get Duran back, but no Isaiah Stewart, like that hurts them. Like I know Paul Reed was better in the playoffs. Like Paul Reed's pretty good overall, but he's skinny, and like 82 game season, man, it's a grind, and without somebody like Stewart, his physicality on both ends, uh, like how good are the screens going to be? Like just small stuff like that. So I think, and they really didn't resolve the Cade Cunningham getting double issue
Great.
overall. Like I think
Agreed.
Cade's going to be he's going to struggle with turnovers. To me, I think overall, I just think they got worse. I like if you tell me like Tobias Harris for John Collins, I love John, he's great, but I don't think if you're a team that's trying to win at the highest levels, he can be starting for you. I think he's just too limited as a basketball player, particularly on both ends. Like defensively, he's just like he's not as good defensively as he was in Atlanta. He hasn't been as good as defensively as he was in Atlanta. Next to Capella, and I think him and Duran together is going to be a massive problem for the Pistons in their interior defense. So like their defense is going to get worse. Offensively, I think you know, I think they're going to be fine, but they got to hope for like a leap from one of the young guys. Like Asar Thompson's good, but they're going to need like Ronald Holland to show something. I think there's some optimism with him. Like I know he hasn't played that much, but he's shown some flashes of some good play. They're going to need him to make a leap to recover. To me, I think he has to be the one to replace Tobias, not John. Like if it's John Collins playing over Holland, like I think the Pistons got significantly worse. But if Holland's better than John and he's playing over John, I think they might be able to get back to form, maintain their level overall as a team, and go from there. It's not. I don't want to because they're such a young team that's why it's like you don't want to doom them. Like I think
Right.
they got some. I think they have what they need. It's just that right now the young players outside of Cade and Nassar and Duran aren't on their level yet. Doesn't mean they can't get there. So it's going to be like how fast can they get their rookie Ibuka Okori online?
Mhm.
How
Yep.
fast can Ronald Holland like elevate his game so that he can be in the consistent part of the rotation and really help them win games. Because I think that's the gamble they made with the Tobias Harris for John Collins swap. Because to me, I think they were like, we can never bench Tobias Harris for Ronald Holland will never play if Tobias is still on the team. Maybe that's the rationale they went with, but in the short term, I think especially early in the season they might have gotten a little worse. But I can hear the argument of maybe they're able to overcome that shortcoming. And like Cade, he has this flaw, but he was absolutely fantastic last year. One of the
So good.
seven best players in the sport
So
last
good.
year, particularly on both ends. Like I think he sets the tone for how they play overall. So like as long as he's still healthy and good, they can only slip so far. But I do think right now, if you're telling me right now, based on the moves they've done, they've gotten worse. But their offseason is not over, and I think and I really do think like if Holland can show something for them, they have the potential to have a higher ceiling. Because I think that's ultimately what they were looking at. They're like, okay, we got to figure out our young guys. Like we can't go for it here if we don't know. Like we got to know how the rest of the young guys are, not just Cade and Jalen Duran.
Yeah, and I mean Holland defensively is really good, and Alcer is really really good defensively, but I think they still have that gap, sort of a relief valve for Cade. Like I think Cade's
Yeah,
going to be seeing two defenders all the time, and that's why I mean I feel like Minnesota overpaid for Lamelo. I feel like they overpaid for him, but I think at the same time I think they needed someone who could kind of take some workload off of him and be a release valve for him too. In that sense. I mean I like what the Pistons are doing. I think they're going to build from defense. I think that's
yeah.
going to kind of be kind of where they're stronger on that end of the court, but I still think they're lacking a secondary creator to take a little pressure off of KD.
And just to like the point with the defense side, like if they still had Isaiah Stewart defensively, like I'd feel more comfortable. Like I
Yeah,
really do think
agree.
that the drop off from like Isaiah Stewart to Duran, John Collins, Paul Reed, like I think that's going to be a problem for them overall, especially if they're going to play because they're going to have to play Kevin Herter more because they paid him one. Like
Yeah,
they're going to have to play Kevin Herter more. They're going to have to play Duncan Robinson a lot. They might have to play their rookie. Just to your point, Glenn. Like they need another guard alongside Cade to take that pressure off of him. And so like, but if they're playing their rookie Ibuka a lot, like that's going to hurt them defensively. So like they're going to have to make some trade offs here. What they're going to do? Like it does feel like they're a team where they have shooting lineups and they have defensive lineups, but they don't have both. They don't have both right now, and so like that's really like the shortcomings of this roster right now to me. It's like they really have one sided players outside of Cade, really. Uh,
hmm
Yeah.
and Asar is good offensively, even though he's a negative shooter. Like just the offensive rebounding that he can provide at at his size, like it's massively valuable, and he's a good cutter. And so like but he is limited offensively at the same
yeah.
time. But I think his overall impact is good for what the Pistons want to do.
Kevin, what do you think of Cleveland?
That was the next team I was going to get to, but I just wanted to say with Osar, like I agree with Tyler, like he's a good offensive rebounder and he's a good cutter. Like I have to go look at the splits. Like how good is he at those things when Cade is off the floor and not drawing the double teams?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But Cleveland, like whatever prelude I gave for Detroit, like Cleveland is even more of that. There's just like not a whole lot of changes compared to some of these other East teams,
Mm.
But then on top of that, the main change is they lost Dean Wade. Like
Yeah.
that's a pretty significant loss for them. Adding Mario Hezonja, like I don't
Maybe.
think that in any way really like replaces him, but maybe I
I
don't know.
I no I'm no I mean the Mario Hazonia thing is a maybe because it seems like there's some hurdles he still has to cross to maybe sign with them. Like
Okay.
at least from the latest report.
Oh,
So
that's
he
not
hasn't
done yet?
officially signed. Yeah,
There's
it's
a
Okay.
not a done
buyout.
deal.
There's typically a buyout in that case and
Okay.
things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, so I mean Mario would help them over. I think the Cavs are like stuck, and I
I
think
think
they
they're stuck.
know they're stuck. They know they're stuck, and the situation is pretty simple. It's similar to the Sixers. A lot of talent and like also a lot of like impact too. Like you cannot deny how good Jared Allen is. Like he's a great player to me. You can't deny like he's not my favorite type of player, but Donovan Mitchell also great player, but he had like but they have these shortcomings. Like they just have one or two shortcomings that force your roster to be a little wonky on both ends of the floor, and I think that's limiting their upside right now. And that's why they're interesting. Kaminga is pretty interesting in that. I understand why they want him just because he's a forward size player who can play the power forward position while not giving anything up on rebounding. Like they need that type of player on their roster, uh, where they can slot, they can instead of playing the two center lineups that they've been doing these last 4 seasons, they can actually have a forward on the rock, playing. So like it's tough, and then James Harden's situation as well. Like they're old. They don't have assets. They kind of know, it kind of showed like there's no sugarcoat. Like last year in the playoffs, the Knicks whooped them. Like they just flat out they beat them up. It was more competitive than the sweep was, but at the same time, they couldn't win a game. They couldn't get a game off the Knicks, and so like it's like another failure in the finals in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they're running up on these tax concerns. The guys are getting older, and quite frankly, in the regular season, they were worse last year. Like they have not reached the heights that they did the year before, or the first couple years with Donovan Mitchell. Like they're not that level of team anymore. Like I think they know that, and so like I think the Kaminga is like he's young enough where they can settle him for the next generation of the next great Cavs team. Like I think Kaminga is a long-term play for them more than anything else.
And I mean it's hard to know like the reporting, but like Jake Fisher has been saying that the Hawks interested in Jared Allen. I don't know if that's real or not. I mean, I don't think Jake would put that out there unless he had really good sourced information about that. So in that sense, but Jared Allen his price tag is also pretty high, for a center. So makes like so I think he makes 30 million a year, in that range. So and I don't know how you throw him into the mix with Onyeka and Jock. That'd be a little bit interesting thing for me in that sense. And also, Ansi's always saying we want fives who can shoot, and so, but and Hawks fans want a rim protector at the center position. I understand that, in that sense, but it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out. The Hawks still have Kuminga's bird rights, so there's signing trade scenarios that are there. No idea what's going to happen with him. I don't have no idea what's going to happen with him, but it'll be interesting to see.
Tyler brought them up before, but I kind of want to talk about Toronto again.
Mhm.
Do they have enough with their guards to make it work? How does Colin Murray Boyles fit in if Scotty Barnes and Kawhi Leonard, I'm just going to assume here that Kawhi Leonard ends up there. If they're both worth 35 minutes a night, like, does Colin Murray Boyles play enough? Like, how's this all going to shake out?
It's going to be
I mean,
interesting to
they
see. I mean, Scotty Barnes defensively last year was really good. I mean, when Pirtle was out, he played a lot of center, which was just very impressive to me that he did took that responsibility on. So I felt like he took a massive step forward last year. But to your point, a little bit like Miami, is the guard play, is the ball handling and passing and creation at the guard position enough to kind of make it all work? That's a question that I have. I mean, RJ's still there and all that. They're, I mean, defensively they're a nightmare to deal with. Defensively they are a nightmare to deal with. But offensively, it gets a little bit weird sometimes, in that sense. So
Yeah, I mean, it's another team that depends on health. Like Emmanuel quickly when he played, they were good last year, even last year. And I mean, they were a good team overall last year. But like Emmanuel quickly was a real difference maker for them.
Hawks were 0-4 against them.
Yeah, and Jamal Shed, well, yeah, because they have more size.
Yeah.
And they're
Yep.
they're going to have more size again this upcoming year, so they're going to be a problem. Longs and Jamal Shed, I thought, I mean, he's for what he is, he's a great player. He's not great defender and knows how to keep and is a real point guard on the offensive end. So like I think their guard room just is going to depend on health. RJ Barrett has been better. With like RJ Barrett's been good for the Raptors too. Like the Raptors, like I get it. Honestly, I they probably don't. I mean, losing Brandon Ingram is a plus. Going from Brandon Ingram to Kawhi Leonard is just a massive upgrade
Yep.
For
overall.
sure.
So
I
like,
actually think they're going to miss Mamukashvili.
yes, they are
For
because he
sure.
brought
He's
real
good.
shooting.
Yeah, he's
He
good.
brought real shooting for them.
They needed that.
Yeah, but like, I mean, I don't know. They got Kawhi Leonard. He's the best shooter in the world.
For sure.
So like, I don't know if it matters. I think they'll figure it out. Is kind of my point. If quick again to me, if Quickly's healthy alongside Kawhi Leonard, they got enough shooting, especially when you factor in their defense and how they're going to destroy teams, get grabbing steals, grabbing defensive rebounds. They're probably not going to play a center that often. It's not going to matter just because, like, I mean, Colin Murray Boyles at 6'7" showed that you don't need to be like I keep trying to tell you guys, being 7 foot is entirely irrelevant as long as your center is grabbing defensive as long as you have a center on the floor that allows your team to grab defensive rebounds. He doesn't even have to grab defensive rebounds. As long as you have a center on the floor that allows you to grab defensive rebounds, that's all you need defensively from that position. And Murray Bowles is way more than that. Like he is a unbelievable defender,
Yeah.
defensive player of the year caliber talent on that end. Like
Yeah.
he's probably going to go through another league next year. Like rookie is probably going to be the worst year of his career, and he was already one of the best. Already one of the best defensive players in the sport last year. He's only going to get better with age, with more experience and more strength. So like I don't know, the Raptors of all, like to me, of all the teams that we've talked about, they are the team I find it hard to believe the Hawks are going to be able to overcome at least the current construction of the Hawks roster. I don't think the Hawks have the size to compete with them at this stage right now. If this is the team, like if CJ McCollum is in their starting lineup, I just think they're going to be too small against the Raptors. Like it, and what I mean by CJ being in the starting lineup, I mean he's playing starter minutes overall. Like he has to be out there for their offense. Now, if the Hawks acquire Peyton Watson, maybe it's a different calculus here, but they haven't done that, and I don't know if they will be able to do that. So I think the Raptors. I'm just speaking from a Hawks perspective. Like the Raptors and Knicks. I mean, the Knicks. We saw what the Knicks did to the Hawks, and unless you really believe Zuby's going to be able to be a day one impact player, which he might be able to be, I think Zuby has a shot to be really good quickly for the Hawks, and they're going to need him to be good at the same time. However, he is a rookie, and that's not something I would rely too much on. So that's kind of where I'm at with the East, where I'm like Knicks, Raptors. If the Raptors don't get Kawhi, then it's
Yeah.
immaterial. Like they're kind of in the everybody else pile. Like it's a lot of like I think all these teams are the same. Is kind of what I think outside of the Knicks. And again, the Celtics are going to win a lot of games in the regular season, but I don't think I think they've helped what their issues were in the playoffs, which was weirdly enough rebounding with Mitchell Robinson. But at the same time, I think they have never recovered from the loss of. I don't think they're going to ever recover from the loss of Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. Like that the point differential might be similar to those teams, but without those two guys who were elite on both ends of the floor, and they were the second and third best player, or second and fourth, depending on how you feel about Derek White. Like that was a super team, and like they have not reached those heights. Like they had to trade Drew Holiday. Well, they didn't have to trade him, but they did trade him to get salary relief, and then they traded Kristaps Porzingis because Porzingis' career, NBA career, might have been over. And like they haven't really replaced like Porzingis, they might have replaced a little bit, but Drew Holiday, like I don't know if they're ever going to replace that level of two-way impact. Uh, for them.
Yeah, and then they re-signed Kata. I mean, I don't people watch a lot of Celtics, but
Yeah,
Kata's really freaking good
he's really
defensively.
good.
So yeah,
Yeah, he's going to be that much better with Mitchell Robinson around. But before we're done here, I think the one team that's left that's at least worth discussing is the Miami Heat.
yeah.
What do you think of them, Glenn?
I think their guard situation is bad. I think I think is bad. I don't know how they get the ball to Bam and Giannis consistently. I mean, Spo's a genius, so he'll probably figure it out. I don't know if they'll make another move, make another trade. I don't. They don't have a lot of cap space left, so they have to get someone like on the cheap to kind of come in and be that. They don't have an actual point guard on the roster. There's not a point guard on the roster, right? To me, so that's going to be really interesting to me. But like I said, Spo is one of the best coaches in the league, so he might figure it out. But they need to add an actual point guard to make this work, and I'll just kind of leave it at that.
Is there a solution for them, Tyler?
I think the bigger issue is that they're just not that talented outside of Giannis and Bam to me.
Yep.
So like that's kind of like I think Giannis went from uh, a Bucks organization that didn't have enough talent to a Miami Heat organization that also doesn't have enough talent, but they play
Agreed.
in Miami. So like I think they're going to be fine, but the lack of this in today's NBA, man, you gotta have 10 good players at bare minimum. Like you gotta have 10 actually good
And they
NBA
have like
players.
six or maybe or something. Whatever the
Yeah,
number
so
is.
it's going to be tough for them.
Agreed.
Any last gasps of like, can the Magic be real? Hornets be real? Wizards be real?
Magic got a good coach. Yeah, Sean Sweeney, who's from the Twin Cities, and so I have sort of a secondhand kind of connection there, in that sense. But I love that hire for the Magic. But we'll see. But the roster still, Bane's the only shooter on the roster. Franz maybe can grow as a shooter. We'll see what else they do.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this, and I guess we say goodnight, Bob.
All right,
Good
bud.
night, Bob.
Thank you.